Welcome to VICTORPATH. Control what you can. Why waste energy on what we can't change? A lot of our stress comes from trying to control things that were never ours to control. What people think about us, whether someone likes us, the economy, the past, other people's decisions, the outcomes. Meanwhile, the things we actually can control get neglected. Your effort, your preparation, your response, your habits, your next decision. Maybe peace doesn't come from gaining more control. Maybe it comes from understanding where your control ends. Point one, we naturally want control. We naturally want control. Uncertainty is uncomfortable. Control, to an extent, gives you certainty, but uncertainty feels uncomfortable. That's why we want control, because we want certainty. When we don't have control, we have uncertainty. We want to know what's going to happen. Will this work? Will they accept me? Will I succeed? Did I make the right decisions? But certainty isn't something life promises us. And this goes for almost everything. Certainty is not something that life promises you. You have to understand that, and you have to be willing to embrace the fact that the further you want to get in life, the better you want to become as a person, the more you have to navigate the waters of uncertainty. You can make a good decision and still get a bad outcome. That's a fact. You can make a good decision and still get a bad outcome. You can make a bad decision and get a good outcome. So there are things we naturally want control, but there are things, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, maybe it's good if you really think about it. There are things that you can't control. Two, separate control from influence. Separate your control from your influence. So the distinction could be the centerpiece of this episode, if you really think about it. So you control your actions, your preparation, your words. You control your habits. You control your boundaries. You control your responses. What you can influence. You can influence your relationships. You can influence business opportunities. You can influence other people's opinions of you. You can influence your reputation. You cannot control other people's decisions. You cannot control the past. You cannot control random events. And most importantly, you cannot control every outcome. Influence is not control. So again, just to rehash that, because this is very important. There are things I listed it out. You control your actions. You control your preparation. You can control your words. You can control your habits. You control your boundaries. You control your responses. Now, the way how to lose control of that is being emotional. That's how you lose control of that. So therefore, especially in key moments when you want to have a meaningful impact, you want to be influential, you have to have your thinking cap on at www.thoughtprovoking.space. You have to have your thinking cap on and make sure first that you have the foundation that you are in complete control of your actions, your preparation, your words, your habits, your boundaries, and your responses. And you use that control that you have over those aspects of your life to influence your relationships, professional, romantic, social, peer groups, business opportunities. You could influence other people's opinions of you based on off of what you have supreme control over. You could influence your reputation. So once you have control over those things, it's less likely that people can make lies about you in the stick. It's possible because perception is powerful, and those who rule perception have enormous power. But still, the truth at the end of the day always wins. It may take time, but it always wins. And the truth is what you can control. 3, stop negotiating with your past. Stop negotiating with your past. People spend enormous amount of mental energy thinking, I should have, if only, why did they? The past can provide information, yes. So when you're thinking about the past, it should be strictly what you learn from it. It should be strictly what you learn from it. My mom died earlier this year. One of the most painful experience of my life by far. My mom was great, amazing, and I think about her every day. Sometimes I think about her and I'm stuck. And this goes for me as importantly because, you know, you think about the past, you think about the past, and sometimes I get a little bit trapped in thinking about, the circumstances, what could have, should have happened, uh, this and that. And, some of it may be legit, but there's nothing I could do to bring my mom back. There's nothing in this life that I could do to bring my mom back. And I have no control over that past. Now, I had control over my actions. I had control over what I put into it. I had control over my boundaries. And now that she's gone, I have even more control over that now because my mom was the last person on earth that I truly had the desire to go above and beyond for. And other people, they have to earn that or they have to pay for it, honestly. My mom, she was my mom. She was amazing. So there was things that I would never do for other people that I didn't mind doing for my mom because she was my mom. She was amazing. So I just learned from the past. I learned, like there are things that, you can't control. There were things that I wish that I could control about that situation where it would have been a better outcome, I believe. I truly believe. But I just could not control it. And it hurt. It hurt a lot that I could not control it because I did not like the way how it ended. I don't think it had to end that way, but that's life. I couldn't control it. And it was my mom. It was sucked that I had to see my mom suffer like that. It sucked. But again, suffering is part of life. And there are things simply that you can't control. no matter how close these people are to you. You just have to focus on what you can control. 4, other people's opinions aren't yours to manage. Other people's opinions of you aren't yours to manage. You can communicate clearly. You can behave with integrity. You can listen to criticism, but you cannot guarantee how someone interprets you. That's okay. They have the freedom to interpret you how you like. But now, when they spread false information about you, especially when it sticks, that's a different story. Now you're getting into the slander realm when you have to protect your reputation. But, you know, if someone thinks something about you, most of the time it's not worth your energy to try to change how they think about you. Like, I'm moving in this direction. You focusing on me, you're moving in this direction. I'm not going back down here to care how you think about me. I'm going up here. You have to keep on shouting and yelling, and you have to do something extravagant to get my attention. And this is where you got to be careful too. This is where you got to be careful because some of those people will do those things, extravagant things to get your attention when you ignore them. So sometimes it might be a little bit wise to give them a little crumb of your attention just to satisfy these parasites, to satisfy them. But then don't get sidetracked. Don't get indulged. Keep on going where you're going and let these hyper consumers find something else to say about someone else. You're not the only one. It's you and you and you. Anybody moving in this direction. Most people are moving in this direction. You keep on moving in that direction. And they're going to try to stop you. Trying to control everyone's perception eventually makes you perform instead of live. You want to live your life as a performance, always put on a show for others because of how they think about you, or you want to make what you think about you the most important by far and live. And we don't live in an echo chamber, so you have to participate in society in some sense and build. And depending on how you build and invest and all that, that's how you create your freedom from all these systems that all these people, entities in there, they have a perception of you and they want you to perform to keep this perception. So key question, am I improving because the criticism is useful, or am I changing myself because I need approval? This is one of the main reasons why I love martial arts, because even as a black belt in a system that I trained in, mixed martial arts system that I trained in New York with NASD, I it's not I got my black belt, so I'm here. No, I still got to work on my techniques a couple of times a week, sometimes every day a week. Work on my forms, my kata, my pumses, arm bars, kotegash, whatever it is that I learned, kicks, punches. I got to work on all that. And now I'm also doing boxing and Muay Thai. And it's a little bit different than what I trained because this focuses on like just the fighting system more than the self-defense system that I learned with NASD. So with NASD, I know stuff. If somebody grab my shoulder, grab my neck, try to choke me out, I know stuff that I could get out of that. Like, there's multiple ways I could get out of that. Like even, you know, God forbid, attackers with knives. I know techniques that I could, potentially diffuse the situation. And I'm not going to really go further because I don't want to brag and I don't want to put myself in a situation. But like I know a lot of stuff. So I'm not, most people, I'm not really going to stand up and square up and like, fight. No, for what? Why am I going to take my precious hands and punch you in the face? I train like what, and then if I do something, if I do kind of like, square up and then the cops find out, the lawyers find out that I'm trained, it's like a double whammy. It's like, oh, you're a martial artist, and look what you did. You used excessive force. No, so with now with boxing and Muay Thai, some of the people that I just different. It's more of it's just the kicks, the punch, the clinching, elbows, knees, and so in this boxing, of course, we are boxing as well too, just all that stuff. So, but now I'm not gonna fight nobody. Like I'm an expert at avoiding fights. Like I'm not gonna get into a fight. And like I mean I train the people that I train with. They do amateur fights. They do amateur fights, and I get to test my skills against them. But I have no desire for that. I don't care if the audience thinks win or lose a fight. All I care about is come in, showing up better than I did the day before and continuously doing that, continuously learn, going there humble. And overall, I think combat sports, this is one of the main reasons I like it. I love it. It's the best workout to me. It's like sometimes a little bit extra pain. Yeah, it could be painful, but it's like, I'm testing the high pressure situations, testing my cardio, I'm testing my mind, testing a bunch of things that is is very important. So that's why I love martial arts because it gives me the opportunity to get better and improving. Am I asked that key question? Am I improving because of the criticism that I get? First of all, I'm the harshest on myself, and then I get critiques from the coach, from other teammates. I listen. I don't like, and sometimes I offer my critiques too. Like some people are more receptive than others. I try not to, talk like I know it all because I don't know it all. I'm just giving you what I see. And so, so am I changing because of the criticism is useful, or am I changing because I want the approval? And I'm at the stage in my life where I don't need people's approval for my personal pleasure. Now, I may need it to navigate these systems and advance, especially in employment, um, and professionally, etc. But as far as making me feel better, no, no. Like even at work, when I go to work a lot of times, I don't care who talks to me, who don't. If you say good morning to me, you don't say nothing to me. You want to say hi to me. If you don't want to feel like talking to me that day, I don't care about none of that stuff. All I care about is coming, getting to the money, helping the guest, helping the system, go home and mind my business. So to an extent, we have to get to the point where we don't care about what people think and approve because the criticism is useful, not because you need approval. 5, and last, focus on process instead of outcomes. Focus on process instead of outcomes. You can't completely control whether a video gets views, whether a book sells, whether someone buys from me, whether someone wants a relationship, whether you win a competition. but you can control whether you create, you publish, you practice, you improve, you ask questions, you show up, and then you repeat. That's where structure becomes powerful. And the overlapping theme about this, and I'm gonna go into the book connection in a second, but I want to like touch on this again, touch on this right here. I think it's very important. So I have a concept that I'm writing about in the Chimera series. You can get a little preview if you follow my Instagram or if you go on my website, www.philiplogan.space. I have a concept of the pillars of a system, the pillars of a system. And the pillars of a system entails the illusion that draws you in, the structure that's how things, the organization, the system, essentially the truth at its root, like how things operate, how things are really. And then three, the third aspect of the system is the audience. So what the mass, the general public perceives of you. So, and that's the key element of the Chimera series that I'm working on. So, In Love with the Chimera, which is available, um, I'm holding off on uh, purchases now because I I'm aligning the Chimera series, so I want to update the Chimera series. The first novel, Fairy Tale of a Love Monster, the short story, and then ultimately publish In Love with the Dragon, which will be available very soon. Um, but the In Love with the Chimera is about being drawn into the illusion primarily of romance. So, but In Love with the Dragon, it identifies romance as a system, a structure, and there's truth, especially in romance, there's truths that are kind of like disguised and hidden in the illusion that draws you in. So when you get into the system, you're when you get into the system, you're kind of caught off guard, like, oh, this is what I gotta do. This is what you expected me. I didn't expect that. Like I thought this was what it was gonna be. The chimera drew me into this, but now the dragon, this is what I gotta deal with. And a lot of the times it's like the illusion was so powerful that you're not gonna the chimera was so powerful drawing you in, you're not gonna leave the dragon, you're not gonna want to escape the dragon. And it's not just with romance, by the way. It's just with politics, religion, um, employment. There's a system, there's an illusion, chimera that draws you in. There's a system, the structure that is actual what you have to do, the truth, how the system is run. And then on the back end, which in my opinion, could be the greatest external enemy outside of yourself, is the audience, which In Love with the Serpent, which I do want to publish by the end of this year, but more realistically, it's probably going to be early next year. In Love with the Serpent. And the serpent is the audience, other people's perception of you, the collective perception. So it no longer matters what is the truth, what you have to do. It matters what they perceive. And that's a powerful enemy to fight, how they perceive. And that's why you have to have this in mind. You know, you can only control what you can control. So focus on your process. Don't focus on the outcome. And this leads into the chimera universe. One of the recurrent ideas in the chimera universe is what happens when people try to control things that fundamentally cannot be controlled. Other people, perception, love, reputation, narratives. The harder characters attempt to control everything around them, the more they reveal what they haven't learned to control within themselves. That's a very, this is a very, so in closing, stop asking, how do I control what happens? Start asking, how do I prepare myself for whatever happens? You don't control every outcome. You control what you bring in. Think critically, question assumptions, choose direction.